Shalom, Labachayim, Shal Yashala, peace be to the elect of the nation of Israel. The election, the chosen of the nation of Israel, which the nation of Israel consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, those Israelite foreigners that have been scattered abroad through the various countries, which are likened unto the speckled bird. To you I say Shalom, meaning peace to you. Peace be to the 144,000 Hanabayayim, the prophets, called Ayashim, all men, wa Hayashim wa Ashayim wa Bunyim, which the men, women, and children, which will believe in the words which the prophets speak, on behalf of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and receive that Tawah collectively, and to hear the word, the election, Bahabachayarim, which will make them exempt from judgment. Of course, I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, who well Shin Kabbalah Shalayach Yam Nawa was a Kwanium Nawa Shalayasha Allah God Walla Rakab Ba'aith, meaning double honors to our apostles and our elders of Israel, which are a great millstone in these times. Shalom wa chesed Allah b'chayarim, peace and mercy to the election of the nation of Israel. Shem Yah Amahba, my name is Amahba Mayan, from the great millstone, Gadwala Rakab Machana camp, located here in Philadelphia by Babal Ba Ayar in the city of Philadelphia, coming with Lamad Ma'ait, or a lesson, which is a little lesson, the Ruach Kodash Ma'amath, Holy Spirit, the truth. And of course, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Ruach Kodash. Of course, all praises to Yahweh, which is Heavenly Father's name, and His only begotten Son, which His name is Yahweh Shai. By Hashem, in the name Racha, and Spirit Kodash is holy. This, of course, in the Paleo Hebrew, and then Lashwan Kodash, the language has been returned back onto the Hebrew Israelites, which, as I explained, consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, the Americans, and those Israelite foreigners that have been scattered, dispersed through the countries and such. Alright, so let's go back to the nation of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel we're speaking of, by the way, their father, and this, of course, is determined through the Ruach Kodash with the Holy Spirit. So we have here a wee article, which, if you haven't been following the Brexit, which is going into the British being Great Britain, or the United Kingdom as they're known today, leaving the EU, in which is going to be a fulfillment of the book of Daniel's, the second chapter. And we read around, I believe, 43rd, around that. We'll get into it. So we have it here. Yesterday was they had a Brexit summit, and also they had negotiations, that being between the United Kingdom with their leader, which is Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, and the European Union, where you had, of course, the various negotiators with the EU and the European, or with the European Union and Great Britain, go to, of course, strike a deal with the withdrawal agreement, which would have the actual Great Britain leaving the EU with actual deal. Okay, so just so you can go into some read information, let me see if it comes up. Let me see. You have, of course, the UK, right? in order for, of course, this to all go through, you have, of course, the UK negotiators and the EU negotiators. Okay. Then you have, of course, the United Kingdom Parliament, House of Commons and such, and the EU Parliament. They all have to come to an agreement about a yaf, which is agreement in Hebrew, or a deal, in order, of course, to cement the actual, you have it, the withdrawal agreement and such. Okay. Which would be with this deal, if they want actually to leave the EU, Brexit, or Great Britain leaving the EU, they have to all, both the UK Parliament and the EU Parliament, which this is the stage we're in at this time, is the actual EU Parliament has passed with the EU negotiators. They've passed with the UK negotiators in Parliament. Well, UK, this is the last bit right here. The UK Parliament has to vote, which that vote is going to go, I believe, on the actual Saturday. They just had, of course, they came to an agreement, a deal, because when you go into the actual, let me see, make this a bit, go into some of the history and such. This is a good article, because some Achim don't know much about this whole Brexit. How to explain it's pretty in depth and such. I follow it much, but you need to know about this prophecy. Okay, so he have it here. All you need to know about, of course, the Brexit. But obviously, as I explained, the Brexit is the British, all right, or United Kingdom leaving the EU, right? In which, when you go into this whole partnership between, you have it, the British and the EU, it goes back to the whole 10 toes and such, right? What you read in Daniel's the 2nd chapter, which, just to make it a bit, I should probably make this lesson a bit shorter than the longer version of it, because it has many different areas you can go into the information, which I have. But we'll go into the actual book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Right now. So, if you read in the book of Daniel, or Daniel Allah Hasapar, the book, or Sapar means book, Daniel Allah is Daniel in Hebrew. So, you see there was an actual statue, which the head was a fine gold, and then you had the breast and his arms of silver, and his belly and his thighs of brass, and his legs of iron, and his feet part of iron and part of clay, which we are the new right now. And then this goes into, of course, you had the Neo-Assyrian Babylonian Empire, which Nebuchadnezzar ruled. It was seen himself basically in that part. All right, you have, of course, you have the breasts, and you have the arms of silver. Okay, you go into the whole Persian and the Medes, or the Medo-Persian Empire. Then you have, of course, the belly and the thighs of brass goes into the whole Greek Empire, which are Edomites, Alexander the Great and such. Then you have, of course, his legs of iron and his feet of part iron and part clay, and the legs of iron in the last leg, okay, of this whole setup, which Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We are in this part which they have the iron and the part clay, which so that you can understand. You have it where it is part strong and part weak, and because economically you have, when we go into it, which I'm gonna skip down, right? This is starting at Daniel's chapter 2 and 40. It says, in the fourth kingdom, right, which this would be also known as the fourth beast. You read in the book of Revelations and such. It says, in the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. Which you had the army, the Romans conquering a boat, and of course through them conquering a boat, they had the various tributary vassal states, which gave power to the whole kingdom. All right, so it says, in the iron that breaketh all these shall break in pieces and burst. Now going here, this is we're going to the ancient Roman Empire. Now going farther, which is the divided kingdom, it says, and whereas thou sawest the fit in the tallest part of the potter's clay and part of iron or urn, it says the kingdom shall be divided. Okay, and we know based upon what Yahushua said in the scriptures. Let me get it slocked. It's the book of Mark, chapter 3 and 26. Let's see if we can go a bit up and possibly. Alright, we're going to start at actually Mark chapter 3 and 24. It says, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. It can't stand. It can't stand. Okay, and you can see with the various division within Adawam or Edom, the Edomites whom are ruling Itha now, or the new, as I say, and Itha means now in Hebrew, just so you know, and Lashon Kodash. You have various division where you had this referendum, okay, which they held back way back. Let me see, we go into that history. I believe it was 2016, to leave the EU, Great Britain. And you have it. They couldn't, Connie, of course, come to a agreement this whole time. There's various deals which they had the previous or the predecessor of Prime Minister Theresa May, or Boris Johnson being Theresa May. She brought the deal 3 times to the House of Commons in Parliament, and didn't come to an agreement within themselves. Alright, which you have, of course, currently, because when you go into it, the actual deal was passed by, of course, the EU already. So we're at that part again, but at this time it is going to go again to the House of Parliament. Okay, it was passed by the EU already, so they have agreement between the EU, the Great Britain, and our United Kingdom, and the EU have a deal, but they have to, of course, be passed by the UK Parliament. Okay, so I'm going to continue. It says, and the house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Quataza, end. Quataza mean end in Hebrew. So going, or Ibariath, say it in proper term, and divided. You have this Greek term, which you have Merizol. Let's see, Merizol, and it says here to be separate into pots, cut in pieces, divide into parties, split into factions, and you have your various factions and such. Within you have the whole various parties. You have it, which we're speaking primarily, I thought, about the whole UK government and such. You have various parties. You have, of course, the Tory party. We go into, of course, the Conservative Party. You have, of course, the Labour Party, or you have the different you have it the Lib Dems. You have different independent parties. You have the SNP, Scottish National Party. Okay, and all of these various parties, I have mentioned and such. Okay, they haven't come to an agreement. Okay, you have some that didn't even want to leave out of the EU, such as we go into Scotland. They of course didn't want to leave, but due to the total vote, which we'll get into the numbers and such so that you kind of understand. Okay, they are forced to have to leave because they are part of this unity, which is Great Britain, being part of the United Kingdom, which you go into being Scotland, Ireland. Okay, and being, I believe that would be the northern part of Ireland. And you have Wales. Okay, you have Great Britain. So with all these various sort of different parties, which they kind of come to agreement, that means that they can't stand, okay, at all. Okay, when you have various forms of division. Okay, so you're supposed to be in all one unity and such, one body. All right, your councils. So let's go back to this Daniel's. Okay, so it says here that Daniel's 41, Daniel 2:41. It says, "In where as thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of the potter's clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided." But there, and let me check that word in Bahabaria for divided, right? Which sounds divide. It means palag. Bahabaria palag, which is to divide, to be divided. Okay, palag. It says, "But there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay." It says, "And as these toes of the fit were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken." Okay, and you have it where this is economically speaking about, and we have the EU and such. Okay, they have it where there is strong economic contributors to that whole EU membership, or you have it where they rise. You have it, of course, the going to the 10 horns. Okay, which you have it 10 holes, 10 toes, 10 not 10 holes, 10 the horse too. It's like, and you have the 10 toes and the 10 horns. Okay, which today they have about what 28. Let's see, I have to go into it, but roughly about what 28 member states. I have to go just to fact check that too. today, but they all erased the original 10. Okay, which when you go into that, you have it. They just have the modern names. Okay, but you have the ancient names and such. All right. It's nothing but, and you have it, of course, the Treaty of Rome, which that was in. When you go back into that, which we'll go into dates and such too. Dude, that was, I want to say 1948 or 58 actually, so but I'll go and check that, fact check everything so you can kind of have everything you sure are right. Okay, so let me get them ancient nations. And if anything, I can of course always go back and get that for you. You know, and if I don't get it, because I have it written down and such, you know, and go into different Vandals and was it the Gauls, some of the different nations. But I'll get that. Let me just I want to continue on just for the sake of time, you know, so keep everything going forward. Yeah, now going into some of the different, economically, you had a headed by, of course, you have Germany. Okay, then you have, of course, the UK, and we can look in EU major economies. You have like France and such, right? You have Germany, right? The Germans. Okay, United Kingdom. Okay, you have France, and now they have Italy, which is also part of the EU. Russia isn't a part, of course, the EU or NATO, which is the beast. Okay, just so you know. All right, so, but it's of course Russia being out there in Europe. Okay. Let me see. I should put more so EU. EU major. I pretty much already covered it and such. Now, with of course the United Kingdom leaving the EU, that revenue isn't it going to be given to the EU anymore? All right. The only way they'll be able to generate any money, of course, is do whatever partnership, if they do. But it's looking like it's going to be a no deal. Okay. State top contributes to the budget. All right, so this is some of this. All right, and this is where you have the part strong and the part strong and part weak and such. And of course, they give a different contribution to the European Union budget and such by member state. Okay, this is the budget back in 2018. It says by member state: Germany, France, UK, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, Poland, Sweden, Austria, Denmark. Right, you have, of course, the different weaker economic countries which are part of the different this alliance and such. Okay, and you have the stronger nations are being as they feel they're pulling less into this whole union. So obviously that brings about a lot of the different division, okay, because with Great Britain, they believe that they can be stronger outside of the EU, being completely sovereign from the EU, okay. So let me see, let me pull up something else too. Let me see, this is Revelation chapter 13 or 17. Let me see what I'm gonna do. Alright, so I thought right now we're in this right here where it says here that in Revelation 13 and 1 it says, and I stood up upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea being the people. Okay, Revelation 17 and 15. Okay, which Revelation 17, and I gotta cover all the other information too. This is crazy. It's already 5 o'clock. Alright, so Revelation chapter 17 and Revelation chapter 17 verse 15. It said, and I saw, and he said unto me, the waters, the sea, or yum in Hebrew, or mayim. Alright, which the sea in Hebrew is yum, and waters is mayim. Alright, so sea is water, mayim, alright, or yum. It says, which thou sawest where the whore sitteth, which the whore sitteth upon a scarlet colored beast, the whore being America. It says, sitteth our peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Alright, and then going and back, it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw the beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, 7 heads and 10 horns, going to Esau's major governments. When you go into, of course, the Germanium Major, Germanium Minor, you go into, of course, the French, the British, the Romans, and see who else I'm missing. French, British, Romans. We have a wee let's see if I got it still up, queued up somewhere. I have a beast. I'll get it. Picture of the beast chart. You have it on there. Let's see, where is that? Let's see, we just have to look it up via Google search system for time. The beast. Alright. Spain, that's why I probably forgot the Spanish, the Romans, the French, the Greeks. Let me see. Oh man, this is. It's not coming up the right way. The way I want it to come up. Okay, what's going on with this? But let me see. Let me go back. Google. Let me get it again, Slock. Right, if you kind of see, you have, of course, Germanium Major, the Romans, Germanium Minor, of course, the British, the Spanish, the French, Greeks. Okay, that's, of course, you have basically the whole power structure and such. 7 governments of the kingdom of Esau, which Esau, Edom, is the wicked. All right. So you have America, which sits upon rideth upon it, okay? And the beast collectively is on the EU, the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The 10 horns, which is the EU, which we shall get, right? Which it says here, Raja having 7 heats and 10 horns. Horns are power, okay? And the scriptures symbolize power. It says, and upon his horns are 10 cones, and upon his heat the name of blasphemy. Okay, and they have all these different forms of blasphemy with their different wicked ways of philosophy, such as their idolatry, their murder, their covetousness, their homosexuality, democracy, all of that. Okay, you can go into the sign and it'll show it. All right, so, and you have, of course, this 10 horns and such. You know, it came back, you know, which when we go down verse 3, it says, and I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and its deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. All right, and of course you go into it, the Roman Empire fell, and then it came back. All right, in the time of the Renaissance period. Okay, and then later, of course, had what the actual economic community, the EEC, which later is known as the EU. Okay, which when you go into it, you had the various. Let me see if I can get this stuff. This is, I keep mixing up the different images because I have many tabs. Let's see. If I could just get that B sign again. It's just ridiculous that I gotta go back and forth due to this disorganization. Slovakia. I'm going to the original. Okay, we'll get it, the B sign again. It's a lot to break down, but you know, I'll just make it like a okay, a gun. You had the original, which you go into Belgium. Let me see if I can blow this up a bit more. Please don't do this where it's alright, so I'm just gonna use this one. Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, or Spain, Portugal, England, and Ireland. And you have the West Germany. Okay. So this you have is your 10 horns, which is the common markets of the European Economic Community. Okay, established back in 1958. Today is the EEC is known as the EU, the European Union. All right, which we have, of course, England, okay, Great Britain, okay, which, you know, when you go into England or Great Britain, okay, and you have Ireland. Ireland is split into, of course, you have the northern part, or Northern Ireland known as, and you have the Republic of Ireland. Now, Republic of Ireland is a EU member state on its own, but the Northern Ireland is an actual Great Britain, part of Great Britain, which Great Britain is in the actual EU. All right, so just to, you know, settle is all a wee bit of confusion, but there's a whole issue with, of course, the EU, and you have, of course, the EU and Great Britain. You have, of course, Ireland, with Northern Ireland, which is supposed to leave the whole Great Britain, but you have the Northern Ireland is supposed to leave with the whole of the United Kingdom, but they have this issue with this whole backstop and such, or return of the different like custom check, because if you're going to have them outside, meaning Great Britain outside of the EU, they should, of course, have various borders, which would be having customs checks to check what's coming into the country and such. Currently, there's any border, actual physical border with checks and such. Okay, and on Ireland, being that, of course, because the northern and the southern have different ones, and the whole troubles, and they have the Good Friday Agreement and such, and you have the division within Ireland. They don't want any of scene of British rule and such. And that's just in brief, okay. Now, let's get to some of the actual information too, because there's a lot I'm covering at once. Now, you had it. So yesterday they did vote. Let me see if I can get also some. I have to give you all the rest of that information in brief, just to. Right. So you have, of course, the EU, right, is an economic political union involving 28 European countries. The original 10, they come out of this. They done split up and such. Now, there's free trade and free movement of people to live and work within the country they choose, which they would be able to leave. Say if you live in a different place like Spain and you move over to Scotland, all right, you can work here, receive the same benefits of being a part of the European Union, okay, because there's free movement, okay. But of course, because it is different, them leaving, this impacts it, all right. There's different deals they've been so-called working on, but and you have a lot of the different nationalism and such. People and they liking these different refugees, which get into the country coming from the world countries and such, and then they're claiming asylum, and then they have, like in Burma, you have also, like, they're coming from Syria, all the different war-torn countries which the beast done destroyed, okay, and they on the EU and the United States government and such, which they ride upon that beast destroying the Middle East and such, and then they coming over, and you're different from different African countries too, but that's something that going to, a lot of the British were willing to leave too because of that, different being overrun by different nations and such, taking over their communities, and they claiming to be, so-called white and such. But anyway, going on, it says the UK joined in 1973 when it was known as the European Economic Community. If UK leaves, it would be the first member to withdraw from the EU. Why is UK leaving? Public vote or referendum. That's what referendum means. Okay. And was held back on Thursday, Thursday the 23rd of 2016, and decided whether UK should leave or remain. All right. Collectively, as a whole, they voted to leave 52 to 48, so it was very close. The referendum turnout was very high at 72%. That's what they report. It says with more than 300 million people voting. All right, but we know all this stuff is all set up. Okay, why hasn't Brexit happened? Okay, obviously you go into the whole Brexit was originally due to happen back in March the 29th of 2019. I can tell you this straight, but they didn't come to a deal. And you see, right? It says there that was 2 years after the Prime Minister Theresa May triggered Article 50, the formal process of leave. Right? That's the Article 50. We can go into that document and kicked off the negotiations, but the Brexit date has been delayed. They have twice, okay, right? So, which currently you have it, they have it this, and now March the 29th, and then you have, of course, the next one, which is they extended it from there to October the 31st, 2019, which we're approaching, okay? It says a deal was agreed in November of 2018. But that's by the European negotiators, and you have, of course, you have the British, all right, or the UK negotiators, and of course the UK or the EU Parliament. Okay, but it was rejected 3 times by the MPs, which would be within the UK Parliament, just so you kind of understand. Which I showed you in the beginning that we, that understanding of that. All right. It says the main sticking point of many of the Conservative MPs in the DUP, the government allies in Parliament, was the backstop. That goes with Ireland and such, which I'll do a separate lesson on. Okay. This was designed to ensure that there would be no border posts or barriers between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland after Brexit. Okay. If it was needed, the backstop would keep the UK in a close trading relationship with the EU and avoid checks altogether, but MPs were critical. All right, so you could go into this, I'll go into it in a separate lesson. All right, so what I want to go into the new is, what occurred yesterday, which they did, of course, strike a deal. Right? Meaning the UK, as I go into the UK and the EU negotiators with the EU Parliament, they have a deal. Okay, you have the EU Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker is ruled out another Brexit extension. All right, so there was a deal, but they have, of course, the whole, when you go into that whole Ben Act, all right, which this Lord willing, this is edifying for you. The Ben Act UK. Let me see, Ben Act or the Ben let me see, UK. You had let me see if I can find it. Let me see Ben. See if I can put it. I gotta remember what it's called. Right. So, this is just in brief. You had the European Union withdrawal number 2 by Act of 2019. This, where you go into it, it says the Ben Act, after its parliamentary sponsor Henry Bean and the Act of Parliament that requires the Prime Minister, which that currently is Boris Johnson, a minister of the United Kingdom, to seek extension to Brexit withdrawal date. He will, of course, have to do this if they didn't come to agreement with the House of Parliament, which the New Deal has only a wee bit, it's pretty much the same framework of the Theresa May. When you go into the Theresa May deal, but there's a little differences and stuff, in which Labour, which is the opposition, which you go into it, to the Conservative Party, the Conservatives, being, let's say, you have the leader you have here currently, Boris Johnson, is a Conservative. He has succeeded Theresa May, and now they would want an extension if they don't come to an agreement, right, within their own House of Commons, within the UK Parliament. Right, so it says here, we'll seek an extension to Brexit withdrawal date, and that's another extension. That'd be a third time. Okay, it's already been postponed from March the 29th to October. Now, again, come on, that's too much. I want this prophecy to come. We hasten the day. All right, but we need, of course, hasten over above our Maker. All right, let's go on. It says here that it says in certain circumstances, the main provision of the Act triggered, the House of Commons does not give its consent to either withdraw agreement or leaving without a deal by October the 19th. Okay, that's tomorrow. So they're gonna do that various voting tomorrow on so-called Saturday. Okay, the Act proposes a new withdrawal date to the 31st of January 2020. That's what the proposal. All right, it says, with which the Prime Minister is obliged to accept if the proposal is accepted by the European Council. So it has to be, of course, accepted by the European Council. Now, when I went into it, just so that, as I was mentioning in the information here, all right, he, of course, he's part of the European Commission. Okay, Jean-Claude Juncker, he rules out another Brexit extension. They want to just get on with it, and just have it because they have a deal. They just need you go into this whole prolongation, all right, the extension, right? Speaking, it says here that EU Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker said there is no need for a prolongation if the UK has agreed to leave the EU with a deal. All right. So it has to be worked out with you can go into it with them, being the UK Parliament. Okay. They have to work it out, and that, of course, is going to be a bloody shambles. Okay, in some. That's a bloody shambles. You already had it where, you have it that we go into. Let's see if I can get that other article, the DUP. Let's see. And they, of course, said voting for that deal. They're against the deal. You have the laborers against the deal. You have, of course, they want in like different general elections, second referendums to vote. They think that the people should vote again, whether to leave or not or stay. They already voted. Isn't that democratic, where you have a vote, so-called vote, and then you have to honor it? That's what Theresa May was saying. All right, it goes and just show you how these Edomites are. What they of course are double-minded. All right, and a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Okay, so and let me get this other thing with the DUP. All right, we're going to do so much, but in such a little time, but it's all needed, just so you can understand the Brexit. All right, so you have the DUP Ireland. We'll go into news just so you can see. You know, of course, you got a lot of bloody shambles with, women leaders and such. Right, but so you said the Brexit deal. Why does DUP opinion matters? DUP rejects plan as things stand as EU and UK halt Brexit deal. Okay. It says Johnson and Juncker hail Brexit deal, and you have it where Boris Johnson he even said let's leave without with or without a deal on the 31st. But because of that Bin Act which I brought out, he is legally supposed to go to the EU and ask for another extension. But as you see, what is it? His name Juncker. All right, called Juncker. He doesn't want, of course, another prolongation or extension. Okay. So it says the EU and the European Union and the UK announced dramatically on Thursday that the agreement has been reached on a Brexit deal that will take the the United Kingdom, out of the European Union. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson both tweeted almost simultaneously to say that the deal has been struck. However, Johnson faced resilience in getting any deal through the UK Parliament. His allies in Northern Ireland, Unionist Party, the DUP, said on Thursday that they rejected the proposed accord as things stand. All right, and so they have to try to sort that the various debates and such. All right. It says the announcement came key summit of EU leaders was due to get underway in Brussels until the agreement on a revised Brexit deal had proved exclusive within 2 weeks to go the UK's scheduled departure of the EU. Boris Johnson, who attended the Thursday's EU meeting, it says it has been struggling to win over crucial allies at home. That's back at different parties, even within his own party. Okay, there's different people that are actual prime minister, or actual MPs or members of parliament, which actually are against certain things. All right, deal and such. That different people stand, left, resigned and did independent things, chancellors, all type of things. It says in what looks as a major blow to the UK Prime Minister. It says Northern Ireland Democratic Unionist Party, that's the DUP, released a statement on Thursday morning saying it could not support the latest proposals as things stand. To support the DUP and the Conservative Union Eurosceptics are crucial if any deals is passed by the UK Parliament, where Johnson's government has no majority. All right, so we'll go into this whole Ireland thing in the future lesson, which will be probably later today as I come back from Hashada, which is the field. I just wanted to do a wee lesson, on this, and we'll cover other things, but this is it in brief, okay? They don't want another prolongation in the EU, and Boris Johnson, he may want that. Me personally, my personal opinion, speaking as a man, I believe that Boris Johnson, the Lord put in his spirit to to possibly rebel, okay, which ultimately making that no deal Brexit, which that's gonna, of course you don't have a deal passed by, of course, the UK government, which that ultimately destroys everything, is going to, make all hell break loose in, of course, Britain, because they are going to be in straits, okay, economically, and industry, everything, okay. It's going to be, and that's going to ultimately actually affect the global economies. You have, of course, because of this different Brexit, this deal being struck, actually in the stock market, things that went up, but it's gonna go down. All right. People's lives are in the balance, all right, due to these Edomites, and this being the end of their rulership. Okay, so with that, I just want to give all praise to Yahweh Shem Shai B'Shem Kakadash and double honor to those apostles at Great Millstone who were well. All right, peace and citation to Sincere Akim, it's so much to cover, in such little time, so many different things, trying to sum this up, in a nutshell for you, but hopefully you're edified and, just stay occupied. This is a major prophecy which Akim should be getting into. I know, of course, there's different things that are occurring in prophecy, and of course you got the different tensions between Iran and the U.S., Turkey, different uproars of the people, different racial tension that's being built up. But this is a major prophecy as well. All right, this whole this European Union, okay, the iron mixed with miry clay breaking apart, right? It being partly strong and partly broken. This union being broken apart. The ten horns, the 10 toes. All right. Okay. Yahweh Shai is going to destroy all of this, the whole system. Okay. So with that, I want to say shalom and see you in the next episode.